Custody is not ownership. Custody is permission to access ownership. For most of modern history, people have not held value directly. They have held claims, records maintained by institutions that promise access under specific conditions. And as long as the system functions, that distinction feels academic, until it doesn't. Self-custody removes the final intermediary between you and your value. No approvals, no schedules, no exceptions. The flow responds directly to the holder. This is not ideology, it's architecture. Intermediaries were not created to steal. They were created to simplify. Managing value is complex: storage, security, accounting, recovery. These are real problems, and intermediaries solve them at scale. For a time, the trade-off made sense, but every intermediary introduces dependency, and dependency concentrates risk. When access is mediated, control becomes conditional, and when control is conditional, ownership becomes fragile. The most profound change self-custody introduces is not technical, it's psychological. When no one can reverse your transaction, you think differently. When no one can freeze your access, you plan differently. When no one can intervene for your protection, you assess risk honestly. Self-custody does not make you safer. It makes you aware. And awareness changes behavior more effectively than rules ever could. Responsibility feels dangerous because modern systems have trained people to outsource it. If something goes wrong, someone else should fix it. If access fails, someone else should explain it. If value disappears, someone else should be blamed. Self-custody removes that safety net, but it also removes silent failure modes. Account freezes, delayed withdrawals, policy changes disguised as upgrades. Risk becomes explicit instead of hidden. Reversibility is comforting. It's also control. A system that can undo your actions can override your intent. A system that can protect you can restrict you. There is no neutral power of reversal. Self-custody accepts irreversibility as the price of autonomy. Water that can always be redirected never truly flows. Not everyone needs full control at all times. That is not the point. The point is choice. When self-custody exists as an option, intermediaries must compete. Custodial systems must earn trust instead of inheriting it. Fees must justify themselves. Restrictions must explain themselves. Optionality disciplines power. There is no system without risk. Centralized systems fail quietly until they don't. Self-custodied systems fail visibly and immediately. One hides fragility, the other exposes it. Neither eliminates danger. One simply removes the illusion that someone else is responsible for your survival. Ownership is not a checkbox. It is an ongoing relationship with value. Self-custody forces engagement. It demands attention. It requires learning. That is why it feels uncomfortable. It resists passivity, and passivity is expensive. Self-custody collapses distance. You are no longer downstream from policy decisions. You are no longer waiting on process. You are no longer negotiating access to what you already own. The flow responds to you directly. That is not empowerment rhetoric. That is structural reality. Self-custody trades convenience for sovereignty, not absolute sovereignty. Nothing offers that, but meaningful agency. The ability to act without permission, the ability to move when conditions demand it. This is not a call for purity. It is a call for awareness of where control resides. Because once you experience ownership without intermediaries, you understand something systems prefer you never notice. Control is not taken, it is delegated. And delegation, once made optional, is never permanent. Self-custody is not the end of the river. It is the point where the water remembers it can move on its own.